August 13th, 2016. It's a humid summer night in a quiet Maryland suburb. The kind of night where nothing feels out of the ordinary, where the world seems calm on the surface, and where millions of people are distracted by something else entirely. Screens glow in dark rooms as people scroll through endless headlines about the political clash between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Debates, controversies, predictions, and opinions flooding every corner of the internet. It feels like the most important story in the world at that moment. But while everyone is watching politics, something far more dangerous is quietly unfolding in the background. Unnoticed by almost everyone except a small group of people who understand exactly what they're looking. A message appears online. It doesn't come from a news outlet, or a government agency, or a verified account. It shows up on GitHub, buried among millions of lines of code and projects. At first glance, it looks strange, almost laughable. The English is broken, the tone is unusual, and the claims seem outrageous. It reads like something written by someone trying too hard to sound mysterious. Most people would scroll past it without a second thought. But a few don't. A few stop, read it carefully, and realize something is very, very wrong. The message claims that the NSA has been hacked. Not just any part of the NSA, but one of its most secretive and powerful divisions. A unit so advanced that even within cybersecurity circles it carries an almost mythical reputation. The Equation Group. Identified and studied by researchers at Kaspersky, the Equation Group is widely believed to be one of the most sophisticated cyber operations ever uncovered. Their reach extends across continents. Their operations span years, sometimes decades. And their tools are so advanced that they often go undetected for long periods of time. To many experts, they represent the cutting edge of cyber warfare. The kind of capability usually associated with nation-states, not individuals. This is the same group believed to be behind Stuxnet, a piece of malware that didn't just steal information or disrupt systems, but physically damaged Iran's nuclear infrastructure, proving that software alone could create real-world destruction. It was a turning point in history, a moment that showed cyber warfare was no longer theoretical. It was real, and it was powerful. The Equation Group didn't just build tools, they built weapons. Tools that could infiltrate systems silently. Tools that could remain hidden for years. Tools that could manipulate hardware, intercept communications, and monitor targets without ever being detected. And now, according to this strange message, those tools have been stolen. The group behind the claim calls itself the Shadow Brokers. It's a name that appears out of nowhere, with no history, no background, and no explanation. There are no known members, no clear origin, and no obvious motive. They don't behave like typical hackers, and they don't communicate like activists or whistleblowers. Instead, they release something far more convincing than words. Proof, encrypted files, real exploits, functional cyber weapons. To show they are serious, they release a sample, including tools designed to target high-level network infrastructure, such as firewalls produced by companies like Cisco. Within hours, cybersecurity teams analyzed the data and confirmed the worst. The vulnerabilities are real. Not only that, they were previously unknown, meaning they were likely discovered and kept secret by a powerful organization. At that moment, the situation shifts from curiosity to crisis. If these tools are real, then someone has gained access to some of the most sensitive cyber capabilities in existence. And they're not just holding them quietly, they're putting them on display. The shadow brokers don't simply leak everything at once. Instead, they turn it into a spectacle. They announce an auction, claiming they will sell the full archive of stolen cyber weapons to the highest bidder. The price is set at 1 million Bitcoin, an amount so large it feels almost symbolic, as if the number itself is meant to send a message rather than actually attract buyers. At the time, it represents nearly $500 million, making it one of the most outrageous demands ever seen in the cyber world. The message spreads quickly. What started as a strange post on GitHub becomes global news. Major outlets like the New York Times and The Guardian begin covering the story, bringing it to the attention of governments, corporations, and cybersecurity experts around the world. Inside the United States, the FBI launches an urgent investigation. The stakes are incredibly high. If the claims are true, this isn't just a data breach. It's a direct threat to global security. Investigators begin exploring possible explanations. One theory points to Russia, especially given the political climate at the time and ongoing concerns about election interference. Another theory suggests an insider leak, someone within the NSA who decided to expose classified tools, similar to what Edward Snowden had done years earlier. But there is also a third possibility, one that is perhaps even more unsettling. that a small, highly skilled group of independent hackers managed to infiltrate one of the most secure intelligence systems in the world. As the investigation continues, a troubling pattern emerges. There is no clear trail, no digital fingerprints, no identifiable origin. The attackers seem to operate without leaving evidence, as if they understand exactly how investigations work and how to avoid detection. It's as if they are always one step ahead. Meanwhile, the auction fails to gain traction. The Bitcoin wallet linked to the shadow brokers receives only a small fraction of the requested amount. No one is willing, or perhaps able, to pay such a massive sum. For a brief moment, it seems like the threat might fade away, like so many online stunts that disappear as quickly as they appear. But the shadow brokers are not finished. They return with another release, this time providing more data, including lists of IP addresses and evidence of global surveillance operations. While not as dramatic as the initial leak, it reinforces a critical point. They are still in control, and they still have access to more information. The pressure on investigators intensifies. They need answers, and they need them quickly. Eventually, attention turns to a suspect, Harold T. Martin III, a government contractor with access to sensitive systems and a history that raises concerns. When authorities raid his home, what they discover is overwhelming. Hard drives filled with classified data, documents stacked throughout the house, and an archive totaling more than 50 terabytes of sensitive information. Some of it dates back decades, spanning multiple agencies and operations. It is one of the largest unauthorized collections of classified material ever found in a private residence. For a moment, it seems like the mystery has been solved. The scale of the data suggests a long-term breach, and Martin appears to fit the profile of someone who could have leaked information. But then something happens that changes everything. While Martin is in custody, the shadow brokers release another message, another leak. This simple fact destroys the theory that he is responsible. The real source remains unknown, and investigators are forced back to the beginning. Then, in 2017, the situation escalates dramatically. The shadow brokers release the password to their encrypted archive, effectively opening the vault to the world. Among the tools inside is a vulnerability known as Eternal Blue, a flaw in Microsoft Windows that allows attackers to remotely access systems without user interaction. It's simple, efficient, and incredibly dangerous. Millions of computers around the world are vulnerable. Within weeks, this exploit is turned into ransomware, known as WannaCry. What follows is one of the most devastating cyber attacks in history. The malware spreads rapidly, infecting hundreds of thousands of systems across more than 150 countries. Hospitals are forced to shut down, surgeries are cancelled, and emergency services are disrupted. Businesses lose access to their data, governments struggle to respond, and the global economy takes a significant hit. The damage reaches billions of dollars, but the real impact is measured in disruption, fear, and vulnerability. Eventually, the United States attributes the attack to North Korea. But the exploit itself originated from within the NSA, a tool designed for intelligence operations that found its way into the wild. And then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the shadow brokers disappear. No final explanation, no confirmed identity, no arrests. They vanish, leaving behind a trail of questions that remain unanswered to this day. Some believe they were state-sponsored actors, others think they were independent hackers, and some suspect they were insiders who were never identified. The truth remains hidden, buried somewhere in the digital shadows. What this story ultimately reveals is something far more unsettling than a single breach. It shows that even the most powerful intelligence agencies are not immune to attack, that the tools created to protect nations can also become weapons against them, and that the digital world is far more fragile than most people realize. Because if a group like the shadow brokers could access and expose such powerful cyber weapons, then the real question isn't just who they were, it's how many more secrets like this still exist, waiting quietly in the background, or worse, already in the hands of someone we don't even know exists yet.